Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Good morning. So for a little bit of context, I'm still on the challenge of adding 3 new items per day to Alchemortis for 10 days. That's a self-imposed challenge, but I've been doing it since April 26th, and I've done 3 or more every single day except for April 30th. So the goal is to have at least 30 new items finished by the end of the 10th day, obviously, and so far I am on track to exceed that. So, but yeah, we still got a couple more days left in that 10-day challenge. I can't believe it's already almost over, but I'll be doing a lot of these. Like, these are not really like super high stakes challenges, right? It's just little sprints, I guess you could say, of focusing on something in particular. And so, yeah, I think I may do more of these. Just do 3 items per day for 10 days. You know, if I do that 3 times, that's almost 100 items added to the game, which is great because I want players to have a lot of tools available to use for your builds and a lot of things to discover and all that stuff. So, anyway, before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that you can wishlist Alchemortis. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. If that sounds good to you, definitely check out the Steam page, give it a wish list. You could also subscribe on Patreon if you want to support the development. If you subscribed for at least 1 month to this top tier here, you will get an Alchemortis Steam key for the full game when it launches, and your name will be in the Alchemortis credits. So check that out if you're interested. And you can also purchase my courses. This is a great way to support me and a great way to learn the Godot engine. All right, everything is linked below, and I appreciate all the support. Hello, Clickertail, welcome back. I'm Sidger, welcome back, good to see you again. Genie Weenie, ouch, I hit, okay, all right. Welcome, Genie Weenie, I guess. Hello, Monkey Software, good to see you. Hello, V, welcome. Long time no see. Always good to see you all. Welcome, welcome. All right, so what are we doing? So I still need to, I haven't done any items today. Obviously, it's the morning. So, obviously you're gonna wanna do some new items, but first I thought it would be interesting to, number one, I wanna show you this little build watcher thing that I directed Claude to build. It's a little editor plugin, which I think is super cool. And then I want to do some more technical stuff. I want to enable cards to appear as cross-faction items. So right now, the way that the items are set up is that they're either enemy or player items. And there's no such thing as like an item appearing in the enemy loot table as well as the player loot table. So I want to take a look at that and see how feasible it would be to support cross-faction items. And then that will open up the possibilities as well, because we don't have to stick so strictly thematically to one side versus the other. For some of these items, they could be like neutral items that are just usable by whoever. Hello, Baron for the win. Welcome. Good morning. Hello, Wooyus. Good to see you. John Claude Vibe Code. Yeah. Claude is really good at building vibe-coded tools, little editor tools and whatnot, surprisingly. So what I had Claude do, so basically I got sick of the 4 or 5 second build time or whatever that would happen when running the game like this building.net project window. Sometimes it's very fast, but sometimes it's very slow. So what I did is I had Claude write a plugin, which I admittedly don't understand a whole lot of because there's all kinds of thread management and stuff happening. Why can't I see that in my searches? So there's this fast play add-on here. It's just a single script, but essentially what this does is this spins up a .NET watch build command under the hood. So that will watch for any C# changes. So it's going to be constantly compiling the game as the C# files change. So let's see, can I go to my build watcher here? So there's a build watcher tab that's added by the plugin. This is just the output from .NET Watch. So if I just make a change here, if I rename this to HE and save that, we're going to see this update here. And so that's going to rebuild the game. And that's again happening just like on a background process, with the output being sent to this little dialogue or this little doc here. And so what happens during that phase is, so it's going to build. While it's building, this little green play button becomes disabled. It's got a little building indicator, so I can't play the game until it's finished building. And then once that build is finished, the play button appears, and this play button is interesting because it actually spins up a new Godot process. So it doesn't go through the main play functionality because that will trigger the build in Godot. So this actually spins up a new Godot process and just runs the main scene directly. So it skips the build step entirely and just runs whatever the current version of the build is on disk. So that's pretty cool. And then the other interesting thing though is that it actually does end up sending its output to the Godot, the editor output. So I still have logging capabilities as well. So even though this is running in a totally different Godot instance, I'm still getting all of my logs here. I have not tested it with like pushing errors and stuff. I don't know if it will classify those correctly or not, but that's not super important. Anyway, so yeah, that took a couple hours to wrangle Claude to build, but it's pretty cool. So it starts a watcher automatically when you open the C# project. It keeps it built constantly. And then as long as this button is green here, that means that I've got the latest built version and I can just go ahead and run it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It saves a couple of seconds per run. And even in these cases where I'd have to wait to run it because it's building, I'm still going to save time because I'm going to go from VS Code here. I'll be editing some text. I'll be saving it, whatever. And then I got to go back to Godot anyway. So that's just gonna, that's just gonna finish the build anyway. So yeah, I think overall this will be a time savings. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah. Hello, David Martinez, Leon Rune. Welcome. Good to see you. So it's like hot reload Unity. It's not hot reload, no. It's just building. It's just keeping the build of the game up to date, so that when I run the game, it doesn't need to go through a build process again. That's all it does. So hot reload would be like swapping out the C# scripts while the game is running. And that's not what's happening here. This is just, trying to eagerly update or recompile the source code as it changes to hopefully reduce the amount of time that I have to wait when I click the play button and then this build dialog pops up, right? But the problem too is like sometimes I run the game multiple times without changing code, and every time I click that play button from the editor here, it shows the building.NET project. Now it doesn't actually build the project, but there's still a delay associated with that. Whereas if I just click this play button, we're shaving like half a second off the runtime there, or off the startup time. Maybe close to a second off the startup time. So it's not, it's not a huge savings, but it's one of those things where like it gets really annoying if you're testing the game multiple times to wait that 1 or 2 seconds every time, especially when there's new changes to build. So I'm basically front loading some of that time by compiling as soon as the file changes. Even if I have to wait the same amount of time, there's still going to be time involved with switching out of my VS Code back to Godot and clicking the play button. So it could be compiling all during that time, right? So anyway, editor plugins are fun because it's like building an app made for yourself. Hot reload works if you run Godot from the VS debugger. Yeah, but that doesn't solve the time problem, right? And also, hot reload is not what I'm trying to accomplish here to begin with. 14 of y'all need to smash the like button. Okay, Anyway, so yeah, Claude, that is a very good use for Claude, I think, just getting your customized editor tools built for you. It saves so much time. You know, you could focus more on developing your game and just get the tools. So yeah, I like it. Anyway, let's figure out how to make cross-faction items. Resource is enemy. So I'm thinking about just adding another is player flag. Set card unlocked. Interesting, okay. Enemy loot table. So everywhere where I'm checking this is enemy, I think I'm going to need to I'm going to need to change basically everywhere where this is enemy is red, I think. On Unity, it's super simple to set up controller input support and export to mobile. It's the same with Godot. I don't know about exporting to mobile, but controller support is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I'm just trying to think of the best way to go about doing this. I mean, I could just add another bool here. Maybe I'll do that. Export public bool is player get private set. We're going to set this to true by default. All right, so let's... Oh, it is building. Look at that. I wonder if that's going to do... Wow, that did the hot reload in Godot as well. So it built that, and now it's showing up as this player. Very nice. Look at that. I didn't even need to build to get those new properties. Heck yeah. Anyway, so everything is currently marked as is player now. Oh, you know what? I should probably do... I might just need to click through all of these and toggle off is player. I could write a script for this, but I think it'll be fine just to click through. Turn off is player. Ballista is player off. Is player off. So this is going to be a little bit tedious, but it's gonna take longer to write a script for this. So I'll just suffer through it, I suppose. candle, that is a player item. So the candle would be a good candidate for cross faction card. So let's do, so we're adding cross faction items. Let's do candle. We want to do oil. We'll just kind of take a note of all the things that could be. Well, I mean, most of this stuff could be cross faction items, but I want to be a little bit more targeted with what is a player item and what is an enemy item. Chicken. Gosh, who added all of these items to this game? Goodness gracious. Why is there so many? We're only on the seas. Oh my gosh. Crossbow, crown jewels, crystal ball, that is a player, cultist. I wonder if I can make this a little bit nicer. Can I just search is here? Oh, that's going to be much nicer. Okay. Less scrolling. So basically anything that's currently marked as enemy, I want to uncheck player from it. One thing I could do for a quick validation is I can actually update my card statistics tool and see if there are any cards currently marked as player and enemy, just to see if I missed anything. Okay. Yeah, that's right. You're welcome, Tony Choppa. Hello, Emerson. Welcome back. Couldn't you shift click multiple and change it? I could, but the problem is I would have to remember ahead of time which IDs are enemy IDs, which I think I know for the most part, but I think that would be, I would be more prone to missing something if I did that than if I just click through and do this. Because a lot of times, like, so the ID, it's not clear from the ID, and a lot of times, like, I won't quite remember, like, wait, is that an enemy item or a player item? And also the IDs are different than the display names in a lot of cases. So I think it's, moral of the story is I think it's just more reliable for me to just go through and check each one individually. I know it's not the most fun thing to look at, but we're almost done. Almost done. I think if I have to do this more than once, or not these properties specifically, but I think it should be possible to create a generic script where I could just go in and change. Like I could provide a function for the data that needs to change and just have a script that iterates over every resource, applies that function or invokes that function for that resource, and then resaves the resource. And so that could just kind of be a generic like batch update, batch update card resources. This is like the second time that I've had to go through and update multiple things. So if it happens again, I may take the time to write a script for it. Okay. So we updated all those things. I actually think that's correct, because if I look at, so I changed, how many files did I change? I changed 74 items. If I run the card statistics tool, there are 73, right, 73 enemy cards. Training dummy is one that I changed, but that does not appear in the enemy loot table. But still, just to be safe, I'm going to go to the card statistics tool here, and we're going to check this. If card definition resource, how did the AI know I was going to do this? Is it reading my mic input? Card is marked as both enemy and player, skipping dimension count. That's fine. So now that should have automatically built. It's building right now. Build watcher. Okay. So now I should be able to do card statistics tool. And I can go to my output. Let me clear this actually. Card statistics tool. Okay, I'm not seeing that log anywhere, so I think I got everything. Good. All right, so we will commit. We'll commit this change. Add is player flag to definition resource. Okay. So that's good. Now we just need to go and update the code every place where this is used. This is enemy. So we want to do dupe.isPlayer. I actually don't think this is necessary. I think that when you duplicate a resource, all of the exported properties are automatically duplicated for you, but I'll just follow the pattern that's there, I guess. So if resource is enemy, and then we're going to do if resource.isPlayer. Okay. This is a migration. This migration is not really going to matter anymore. But what I probably want to do is I might want to add, let's add a helper method here. We'll do public bool is enemy only. Return is enemy and not is player. Okay. So then here, we'll just update that. I don't even know what that logic is doing, but that's all right. Okay. If card definition resource dot is player, and this has to be wrapped in an extra parentheses there. So if we're dealing with a player card and the card is not owned by an unlocked pack or the card is unlocked, then we're going to add that to the loot table. That should work. All right, card inspection tool. This one is just a tool, but we might as well update this as well. I'm going to add another helper method here. Bool is player only, public bool is cross faction. Okay, so we're gonna do card def is cross faction. This will be cross faction if as enemy only enemy. Okay, that works. What is this one? Ability description exporter. is enemy only, else if definition is player only. Okay. We'll just let the AI finish that one up. That's also just a tool, so I don't really care what the code looks like there. Card statistics tool. Enemy tag counts, player tag counts. Let's do cross tag counts. Okay, so is cross faction. We're going to do cross tag counts, else card definition resource dot is enemy only. Enemy tag counts, and then we'll fall back to player tag counts. Okay. Enemy card, I have to do this as well. Private read only, cross card dimensions count. If card definition resource is player only, let's do else if. Oh, this is the same. So let's do this actually. Okay, all these can go away. Okay, so that's good. And then that looks like the last spot where we needed to do it. All right, so let's do this then. So my code should be built. Excellent. So now if I do the card statistics tool, we should see the cross card. There is no cross card because I haven't added one yet. Let's try it. Oil barrel. Let's make it player as well as enemy. And then card statistics tool. Oh, did that not work? Oh, I'm probably not printing it, huh? Right. I'll just let the AI finish that for me. Thank you. Okay, so that should be building. Then we can run it again. There's one problem with this water. It seems to freeze up the editor when it's building, which is not ideal. Oops. What am I doing? Okay. Cross-faction card dimensions counts. There we go. Cross-faction card tag counts. Total cross-faction cards 1. Awesome. Very cool. Good morning, RN Genesis. Welcome. That's a fun new Windows error. USB device is power surging. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good at all. All right, what was the other one I said would be a good cross-faction card? Candle. I don't want to do necessarily too many cross-faction cards, but... Oh, I went to the wrong one. Candle here. We'll mark that as is enemy as well. Excellent. All right, so I mean, I'm pretty sure this is gonna work. The main thing to look at is this loot table manager. Actually, I think I want to change this because this log is going to log if it's not a player card. So I don't want to do that. We want to do if here. And then we want to move this else block up. Okay. Let me make sure the unlock screen is correct as well. Unlock a menu. Yeah, it's called unlock menu. Player IDs. Okay, so is it adding? Let me just make sure my registry is adding. If resources player add player ID. Yeah, it should work. Okay. Alrighty then, let's give it a whirl. Okay, so if I go to my unlocks here, I should be able to see, yep, there's the barrel, and I should also see the candle. I think it's alphabetical. There it is, candle. Excellent. Cool. Alrighty. So I think cross-faction item support is now in the game. That was relatively easy to do. Done. So there's this other thing that I was working on. Ability copy works on innate abilities. Make this not the case. Add note to innate explanation. I think I do want to fix that. So let's just go ahead and fix that now. That should be an easy one as well. I think I just need to go to copy ability. Let's see. That's used by the scarecrow, legendary rat. Yeah, that works. Okay. Where x.is copyable. Now here's a question. Yeah, I'm just going to do this. I could set this is copyable flag to false anytime I'm also setting the is innate flag. But that's going to be a little bit cumbersome, so I'm just going to make it so that innates are just considered not copyable as well. So that's a one-line fix there, and then we need to go to ability explanations and find innate. Translation server translate ability explanation. Oh, is this one of those things? This is one of those places where I do need to edit this file manually. Cannot be replaced, copied, or transferred to... cannot be copied or replaced or transferred to other items via alchemy. It's a little bit confusing, I guess, but that's okay. All right. So I do need to regenerate. Oh no, the build watcher is going. That should also regenerate that en.po. Okay. And we might as well just give that a quick test as well. What is this app to organize your tasks? It's Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Welcome, only a coder. Did you manage to hit your goal with the items? Yes, so far. So there's only 1 day. So my goal is 3 per day. April 30th, a couple days ago, I only did 2, but I did 4 yesterday. I did 4 on the 28th and 4 on the 26th. So yeah, so far, like the total, the real goal is 30 items in 10 days. And so far, if I'm projecting forward, I'm on track. So as long as I can actually afford to miss my goal of 3 per day for 2 more days. But as long as I keep hitting 3, I'll be guaranteed to have more than 30. So that's good. But yeah, we've got through May 5th, right? So on May 5th will be the last day of creating 3 new items for the game for now. So we're almost there. Problem I have with C# and Godot is that it's VS code. I don't see all the syntax to autocomplete. If you're not seeing the syntax to autocomplete, then there's something wrong with your configuration. Welcome to the stream, Danit, by the way. Hello, the malicious rabbit. Starting to realize that partnering with people for game jams just for the sake of working on a team isn't always a good idea. No, it's not. No. Some of the design decisions being made are extremely questionable at best. That's why I've never worked on a team, like... Or I have, like, I've worked with my friend on something, but he lives in Illinois, and so what we used to do is he would drive to my house for the game jam weekend, and we would just spend all weekend in the same room doing it. And that was fun, you know, like we learned a lot together. We worked well together. But if you don't personally know the person that you're working with, I mean, it's kind of like being assigned a group in school. You're like, you have the group project, you get assigned a group, and it's like the vast majority of the time, the people in the group are not interested in doing any work, or the work that they do is like, I could tell that you spent like 5 minutes on this because it's absolute dog. But anyway, can you tell I didn't like group projects in school? But yeah, I don't like working with random strangers at all. I'd rather succeed or fail with my own design, my own art, all that stuff, rather than work with a stranger. It's been a month since I checked in. How are we doing on in-game romanceable characters? That is in the backlog, Ungy Bungy. Actually, I was not gonna show you this, but I'll show you the first romanceable character that we have in the game. Boom, there you go. First romanceable character. At least it's a learning experience. Yeah, it took me 3 hours to figure out how to connect a function to a signal. Yeah, that's, well, the documentation is a little bit lacking for C# there, I think, in some ways. It's a 2-week jam, so I'm going to see how it goes. I'm also doing most of the art, which is a horrible idea. Uh-oh. Why do you think C# instead of GDScript? Your project can't be created using GDScript. It's not that it can't be created using GDScript, it's that a lot of the patterns that I'm using are not easy to do in GDScript. I just think that it would be a lot harder to do in GDScript with the systems that I have. But will be a learning experience, yeah. There's actually, if you're interested, only a coder, you can join the Discord, and somebody posted in the game dev channel a video about all the patterns that were used for like a Pokemon clone game. And that video basically describes the architecture of my ability system in my game. So, so if you're interested, you could join the Discord and watch that video, and you'll probably get an understanding from that of why GDScript wouldn't necessarily be the best tool if you're trying to do those kinds of patterns. But anyway, let's think of another item to do. We need more enemy items. Specifically, I think we need more... We don't have a whole lot of alchemical enemy items, and we don't have a whole lot of relic items either. So relics and alchemicals. Relics and alchemical items. Relics and alchemical items. I don't really have any good ideas. I mean, I have all these ideas written down here, but... The Holy Hand Grenade deals true damage to a random enemy and all adjacent items. I mean, yeah, I could do something like that. Man. Kind of want to do like a feast. Feast card. There's an owl. Can I do an owl? Bellows, Undertaker. Someone is a fan of worms. Hello, Royal Munjask. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Man, I can't think of it. Anyone have any ideas for enemy faction cards that could be either relics or alchemical? Let me think. Something like a cornerstone might be interesting. Maybe some kind of like ancient tree. I'm trying to think of like all the... I guess where my mind was going right now is like all the Roman ruins that are scattered throughout that region of the world. Hello, Alien Archer. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Holy Book seems like a relic. Yeah, that would work. With the theme was more of a joke, that could be a decent item style where it's sort of explosion effect that deals damage based on affected cards. Yeah, yeah, we could do something like that. I mean, certainly like a... The thing is, I have to keep it somewhat archaic, right? Because, like, there's not... In the theme of this game, there's not, like, explicitly, like, gunpowder or explosives. So if I'm going to have something like that, it needs to be something of, like, an alchemical concoction. Which I could use... I think vitriol is the word. If I'm not mistaken. I'm doing fine as well. Good. Hourglass? An hourglass is a good one. Do I have that written down already? No. That could be a relic if I gave it a name. Golden carrot, maximum creativity here. Instead of unicorn, could have unicorn horn for alchemical. I already have a unicorn horn artifact. Do you have holy water? I have unholy water. But maybe we could do... You know what? We could do holy water. And the holy water could be something that... that could have a specific effect against undead, maybe? Like a splash of holy water. Yeah, we could do something like that. It's viable to encrypt save files to prevent the user can edit it, or do you think we don't need to do this? I think it's up to the developer. The Alchemortis save file will be encrypted just as like an obfuscation measure, because I just don't, you know, selfishly, I don't want to deal with like any issues that may come up as a result of somebody tinkering with their save file. But it's like, for somebody who has the proper knowledge, it should be relatively easy to decrypt it. I mean, basically all you need to do is just find the encryption string in the PCK, which, like I said, should be trivially easy, and then you can decrypt it and edit it and recrypt it if you want, re-encrypt it if you want. But Ichor, if it isn't something already, yeah, that could work. Let's see. That might be better as a player item. Solve the AoE concept affects demons undead. Yeah. My main concern is that encrypting the file might break the game. I don't think so. I mean, if you save the file as encrypted to the disk and then you read it as encrypted and then decrypt it on game start, it should be fine. Do you use in your game any state machine? Yes. Yes, the main thing that drives all of the logic of the game is a giant state machine. Yeah, I like the idea too where it affects all undead cards in an area. So yeah, I think what I would do for the holy water, let's do that. Let's do holy water, and what we'll do is the holy water will target one random undead, and then when it targets that undead, it will then grab the adjacent undead items to that undead, and it will do like splash damage, or like it'll do a splash effect, so maybe like paralysis or something. Yeah, that could work. Then it wouldn't be a card you'd want to put on your own board. That's true. Yeah, that's true. You wouldn't want to use that. I mean, it could change to... Yeah, maybe we don't want to do that. That's the problem with the secondary tags. It's like if I make them too specific, or if I make the interactions too specific with them, then they're just going to become useless if you happen to get that item. What could we do instead? I mean, we could just make it work off of generic minion. Just do a generic minion thing. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense thematically then if you used holy water against the enemy. Yeah. You're welcome. In a world where you get holy water from a pillared booster, then it wouldn't affect the enemy board, so maybe it just has increased effect against undead instead of specifically targeting them. So it still has uses on your own board. Yeah, maybe just splash minions. Would still work with increased effect versus undead. State machine concept is something I try to learn. Yeah, state machines, they're one of those things where it sounds and it looks intimidating at first, but once you understand it, it's like, oh, it's actually relatively simple. Like if you imagine a flow chart, right? Which I think everyone basically knows how to read a flow chart. A flow chart is basically a state machine. And a state machine is basically a flow chart. Like that's the way to think about it. Every box in the flow chart is a state. And then when the flow chart has arrows going to another state, you know, there are certain conditions, right? So there are certain conditions that make you transition from one state into another. And then the same is true of that state. So there are certain conditions that make you want to transition from that state into a different state, so on and so forth. That's basically what state machines are. And then writing the code is basically just a matter of defining what all those states are and how they work, and then defining the transitions to go from one state to another. There's a Godot plugin called Yet Another Finite State Machine, and it lets you build out state machine flowcharts in your project. Very nice. Hello, TCM Fatbird. I'm making Alchemortis, which is a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy to create your own builds. The Steam page is linked below, so if you want to check out the Steam page, and that will hopefully give you a better sense of what the game is like. But yeah, it'll be out later this year. Learn states for electrical engineering. I think that's what EE stands for. Best way to think of it is states traffic light can go. This is the states a traffic light can go to in an intersection. Like most Godot assets, I couldn't figure out how to use it. Yeah. Hi. Do enable signals when you enter a state and disable them when you exit the state? I don't really like to manage whether signals are connected or disconnected in the script itself. What I'll do is I'll just allow all the signals to fire anyway. And then when the signal handler listens for that signal, it will just check to see, am I in the proper state to handle this, right? I could see an argument going either way though. Like it may actually be easier just to build it such that as you're transitioning states, the proper signals are connected and disconnected. And then you can be guaranteed that whenever a signal handler handles a signal, that is being handled as part of being in the correct state. So I could see it either way. You know, I think it's up to you, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Sounds so cool. How did you color code the file system? Is it a plugin or a feature? It's a feature of Godot. You just right click, set folder color, and there you go. There you go. That's it. All right, well, let's just get started and do holy water, I guess. Card creation tool. What do I want to do with this? Do we want to make it a 1x1 item? Enemy card dimensions count. We don't have very many 2x1s. We have a lot of 1x1s. We have a lot of 2x2s. Can I do a 2x1? Would that work? No, that probably wouldn't work for holy water. I'll just make it a 1x1, I suppose. I don't really think it's gonna fit in anything else with the way that I have it in mind, so let's just do holy water. Create. Okay, now we can open up a sprite. Open file, Alchemortis, assets, card. Holy water. Okay. All right. And we'll just draw it like this. Wonder if it's possible to make bottles only run with the amount of vials, bottles, and flasks the game has. It may be. Yeah, it may be possible. maybe a secondary tag for flask or bottle or something. That'd be kind of cool. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break before I go and draw this. Then when I come back, we'll implement this, we'll add the abilities, all that good stuff. So I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. Okay, I'm back. Let's get this done. So I'm thinking this is going to be relatively easy, although I am going to try to draw it at a little bit of like an odd angle, I think. So we'll see how this goes. It is not going well already. Actually, that looks fine. That might be okay, actually. Actually, I kind of like that shape. Kind of like that shape. So let's see. Can I do... I'm gonna see if I can do this. Okay. This may not turn out that great, but we will see. Actually, now I'm wondering if I did... Maybe warmer colors? I don't know. Let's see if it works. Could be a secret Steam achievement. Oh, the flask thing, yeah. It's time for game dev content once again. Yes, indeed. Welcome, Jackie Daytona. It is indeed always good to see you. Let's see. A little bit weird because this is not... This is kind of like right up against the edge, but that's all right. I think we can make it work. We can make it work. It's quite a tight space. Well, I think it's okay. Not the prettiest thing in the world again, but that's all right. Actually, I think that looks better. Create a little lip there. Yeah, maybe. I think it certainly looks more interesting that way. All right, we'll just call that good. We don't need to spend an hour on a 1x1 item. Okay, so what are we gonna do? So I mean, the other thing that we could do is we could, instead of making it target undead directly, we could just make it check if there's any undead, like, on the combat, and have it augment its power based on that. Yeah, so maybe that would work. Options dot secondary tag filters equal to secondary card tag dot undead. Options dot query source board equals true. Options dot query target board equals true. Options dot query directions is equal to board inventory component. Query directions dot entire board. Okay, cool. All right, so now we can do yeah, let's do this. Let's do paralyze. So var buff applicator is equal to new buff applicator. We want to do paralysis debuff. Like so. Target provider. So, oh, interesting. Okay, I think this is a situation that we don't have in the game currently. So basically, I have this query target provider. This will give me all of the items in the game that are on the combat or enemy, on the enemy or player combat boards. This will select all of the undead tagged items. But then what I want to do is I want to apply paralysis to a number of items equal to the number of undead items. The problem though is that I don't think I currently have a way of modifying. So the way that I would do this is var paralysis query target provider. Query target provider create query target board. We're going to get rid of that secondary tag filter entire board. What I want to do is I want to do options.limit is equal to query target provider dot get value. So this will be the number of targets returned. But the problem is that this needs to be updated after this runs. So I almost need like a, let me think about it. I almost need like a generic. I wonder if I could do that. Let's see. I almost need like just a generic ability that I can define. Maybe I'll do that. Let's just do a new, I'm trying to think, is there anywhere else in the code where I have this kind of situation where the result of one query target provider is affecting the result of a different one? I don't think so. So let's just do a new generic ability. I'm just going to copy this because it's going to be easy. Action, execution, context with state, action, generic ability. We will do action, execution context, get rid of the iCombat start listener, get rid of this. So it's just a very, very thin wrapper around that. And so what I could do is I could do var generic limit updater is equal to new generic ability. And then we'll take the let's just take the context here. And what I will do is I will say paralysis query target provider dot query options dot limit is equal to query target provider dot get value. If I could type, that would be great. And so in the buff applicator here, this will be, let's see, paralysis query target provider. Let's also do options dot order by random equals true. Okay. Initial base magnitude. Don't remember how this is used. Oh, I see. Base, so const int base paralysis duration is equal to 10. Var current paralysis duration equal to base paralysis duration. All right. So initial base magnitude is current paralysis duration, and then we need int paralysis debuff. Right. So magnitude. Okay. I think that's correct. So anyway, the way that this will look now is I'll do query target provider, and then we're going to do generic limit updater, and then we do the paralysis query target provider, and then we do the buff applicator. So the way it's going to work is we're going to query for all the undead items first. Then we're going to update the limit of the second query target provider. These will be the paralysis targets. And then we're going to update that query target provider so it fetches all the items, and then that buff applicator will run with the result from that query target provider there. So I think that will work. I think the idea of the holy water being more effective on the enemy board is fine. The enemies need some more powerful items anyway. Yeah, but I'm still trying to make it so that all the cards are useful for the player's purposes as well. Would you recommend using C# instead of GTScript? It's totally personal preference. I personally like it better for more complex games, but more effective when the enemy uses it against the player. I think this will work. I mean, it's still going to be strong, right? So it's like, this is still basically an anti-player undead item because it's going to be very rare that the player is going to be able to get this item anyway. But when the player does get this item, it's not totally useless because it's only scaling based off of the total number of undead. So it actually becomes strong in the player's hands as well if you're doing an undead build. If you're not, then it's like it's going to do nothing, right? So I think it's okay. I mean, obviously everything is subject to change, but we'll do this. Okay, so the scaling function we're going to do var scalar is equal to ability scalars dot make additive scalar 1. Current paralysis duration is equal to scalar base paralysis duration tier. And then we want to do buff applicator set magnitude and then buff applicator base magnitude. Okay. No, this needs to be current paralysis duration. There we go. Card holy water. Paralysis per undead. Description template. Apply. Actually, paralyze. Random enemy item for 1 description utils dot time format 1 paralyze 1 random enemy item for seconds per undead item. So the description per, yeah. I don't know. Is that clear enough? Let's change this a little bit. For each undead item, paralyze. Be this. Paralyze 1 random enemy item for seconds. And then this will be the current paralysis duration. All right, let's go ahead and update the holy water now. Okay, so we've got the holy water is enemy. Oh, I need to change. I need to change this. Okay. That's just a fix to my tool. Maybe this add-on isn't working that well. Anyway. Turn cooldown 5.3 is flippable on. This is alchemical. I could cheat a little bit and make it a relic as well. And just give it a special name. Did I write down holy water here? Yes. What the heck? Okay, item holy water. So we need a unique name. Flavor text. Okay, so this is a 1x1 item. It's an enemy item. It's flippable. This can appear in regions 1 to 2. I don't think it needs any secondary tags. All right, let's try it out. Hello, Abo. Welcome back. Good to see you. How you doing? For each undead item, paralyze one random enemy item for 10 seconds. Right. So there's a couple of problems here. This needs to be a formatted string, and then this current paralysis duration needs to be times game constants. Actually, I think I can do this. Magnitude to seconds, current paralysis duration. Okay, so that's building now. I can run it. Let's see how this goes. Oh, I don't have holy water. Add item, holy water. One random enemy item for 1 second. Okay. Do I have an undead item? Okay, so we're going to need to check this. So it should apply paralysis to both of these things then. There we go. It worked. So now let's just try this. Add item holy water 5. For each undead item, paralyze one random enemy item for 1.4 seconds. Yeah, so that scaling is going up. Might turn that scaling up actually. Let's do 2 here instead of just 1. So it should be 1.8 seconds at tier 5. Oh, is it paralyzing? Oh, it's paralyzing myself too. Why is that happening? Oh, options.query sourceboard equals false. Oh, and this is also wrong. This limit, we'll just set that to 0. Okay, so there was a couple of issues there, but maybe it's fixed now. Let's just do it with one to start. Add item skeleton warrior. Add item holy water. Okay, so put those on the board. Okay, that seems to be working now. Cool. All right, I think we can call that one good. Does it paralyze the player skeletons too, the violet effect? Yeah, that was a bug. Yeah, we don't want it to do that. I actually don't know why it was doing that, but I mean, I guess I do because it was querying the source board too. We want to turn that off. Okay. Alrighty then. The 1x1 cards are easy because they only need one ability, typically speaking. Although I should add more 1x1 items that have more than one ability, but that's alright. So I need to finish the flavor text and the name. But let's think about adding another enemy item now. So what do we want to do for another enemy item? Kind of want to do this feast item here. Maybe we'll do that. I want to do the feast because I want to draw a roasted chicken. I think that would be fun. That's the main reason why. That's the main reason why I want to do this. Okay. All right, let's see if this works. We're going to make it a 2x1 feast. Alrighty. Okay, that worked. So we're going to turn on is enemy. This is alchemical. 0 to 1 is the notoriety region. This is a 2, oops, not 23, 2x1. Okay. Hi, you have fun items? I do. Welcome, I'm in Dios. I think there's a lot of fun items in the game. All right, let's see if I can make a chicken. A roasted chicken. Delicious. Gotta get this shape right. Oops. There's also gotta be like some chicken wing up here. Maybe this is just... Is this just still too big? Move that one over. I think this needs to come down more aggressively, maybe? Oops. Maybe we'll move it over even more. Then we can draw the little chicken wing. I think that looks decent for the shape. I still think maybe this leg is too big. Let's shrink it down a little bit more. There we go. May be able to make that work. We may be able to make that work. I wonder if I should move this down a little bit so I can take this all, move this up. Okay. All right, that should work. Trying to draw some fruits over here. Probably not going to work that well. Well, we can make it look like a fruit, I guess. We'll worry about that in a second. Okay, so that one, big old chicken leg. And then, how do I want to do this? Let's just outline this. And we'll also outline the chicken wing. Okay, and then if we do this, yeah, the chicken wing probably needs outline all around. I'll figure out the exact colors here in a second, but I just don't want to lose the shape of those things. Okay, so you could probably get rid of some of this here. There we go. So we haven't lost the shape too much. Okay, and then down here. All right, I think it's getting there. I'm locked in, I gotta check the chat. My goal is to make this an irresistible chicken. Irresistible. Okay, now we gotta make it glisten. We gotta give it that glisten, you know? Needs to look nice and juicy and oily. You should be able to taste the salt on this guy. Taste the salt. All right, let's catch up on the chat real quick. Feast equals chicken and wine, yes. So it's the total count of items up to date. I think we're approaching 180 now. 180. Hello, 12 o'clock. How long has your game been in development? I just spent a month on a prototype and people like it, but I'm feeling over my head. I've been working on this for a year and a month, basically. So yeah, it's it takes game development takes a very long time, especially if you have a game that people like. You can't like, you know, you don't want to drop the ball. You don't want to disappoint people who are looking forward to the game, and so there's a lot of effort that goes into just making it feel really good, making it look really good. So yeah, it takes a long time, for sure. Takes a long time. And I think feeling over your head, especially if you're a beginner, is perfectly normal as well. So don't worry about that. If people like your game, then they like your game, and give the people what they want, you know? What kind of fruit is this? Maybe I should make it red. Make it an apple. I've never drawn an apple before, but the good news is that this is a very tiny apple, so it should be easier to do. Am I gonna eat those words like immediately? Maybe I'll use green. Yeah, that looks good, actually. Do I want to pepper in some of these? I don't know if I do, actually. Oh, that's probably fine, actually. Yeah, I think that, I mean, it looks decent, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit too noisy. Maybe I should more clearly outline the... No, it's okay. I think maybe if I just put like... I think it's fine. Now, there's nothing up in here, but I don't really know if there's anything I can do about that. Shove another apple in the background, maybe. Oops. Okay. Hello, Kelso. Welcome back. Good morning, Ninja Link. Good to see you. How you doing? Always good to see you both. Oops. That's not right. This may end up being a little bit messy, but actually it looks all right. Just... There we go, we've got a feast. What do you think? I think it looks acceptable. It's apple time once again. Hello, Anthony, welcome. It's a masterpiece. Thank you. The enemy faction has a lot of food items. So I'm hoping... what does it say? The enemy faction has a lot of food items, so I'm hoping it scales on food. Oh yeah, so have like some kind of food scaling. So the reason why I'm doing a bunch of food items is because I have the alchemical tag, right? But the enemy doesn't really explicitly engage in alchemy. I mean, I started from just like a lore world building perspective, but I started introducing that just to give me more room to do like enemy alchemical items. But food items and like spices and flowers and stuff are good things to tag as alchemical. Because I mean, you know, like cooking or like ingredients and stuff like that. So that's why like I'm doing a lot of food items, is because the enemy doesn't really have any synergies with alchemical, and I want to fix that. So basically every food item is going to have the alchemical tag. And then I will introduce also like wholly oriented alchemical items. But yeah, I can definitely make stuff like stuff that scales additionally based on food in particular. But yeah, that's the reason. That's the reason. Anyway, so that art should be updated. So this is an enemy item. It is flippable. Turn cooldown. Let's make it a quick feast. 3.2 seconds. All right. Anyone have any ideas on what the feast could be? What in the heck? Ah, I'm inventing buttons that have never been pressed before. Flavor text. Okay, so we need to implement this idea. Also, let me write something down really quick. Just some tooling that I want to do. Alrighty, I'm just going to commit this actually. Initial work on feast. All right, so what are we going to do with the abilities? Probably makes sense to make it scale off of adjacent items, like adjacent alchemical items, adding to the feast essentially. I don't know if we want to do healing though, because there is a lot of healing currently, although food makes sense for healing, but what am I looking for? Hard inspection tool. Okay, enemy. Heal. I guess there's not a whole lot of healing. The enemy does not have a whole lot of echo. Project allied items not on the edge, immune to paralyze and confuse. Reduce stacks of poison and bleed by the number of alchemical items. That's a good one. That's going to be kind of a difficult one to do, though. Let me write that down as something I want to do. Immunity paralysis for things that are not on the board is an interesting one. Passive, project to adjacent food items. Project to adjacent food items that don't already have this ability. Reduce turn cooldown and heal for each adjacent minion execution. Slow cooldown of a feast, but adds more HP. I want to do something like that. I was thinking... I don't really want to do a heal ability because the enemy has a lot of heal already. Something scaling with alchemical. I mean, those are all good ideas. I just don't know. Maybe kind of like a passive idea would be good. What if it granted a temp max HP boost for every adjacent allied alchemical? Temp max HP boost. Yeah, I don't have the tech to, I don't have the support for that kind of thing though. All right, let me think about this some more. The other problem is that I'm kind of like, I need to go in like 15 minutes. So I was trying to think of something that would be quick and easy to add, but maybe this is an item that deserves more time. So I will just cool my horses here, and I'll think about, you know, if I want to introduce one of those abilities that you guys mentioned, and I need to do some technical work to get that functional, then I'll do that. I think this is the kind of item though that would be like, I feel like this kind of item deserves something like pretty unique in terms of its ability. Like I don't want to just give it like a plain heal. I want it to do something interesting. So I will figure that out. But replenish exhausted adjacent cards and reduce their turn cooldown. That's a good one. That would be a good candidate for removing like an exhaust status. Yeah, that could be that could be the one that removes the exhaust status. And it could be interesting too. Like it could be something like removes exhausted from a random enemy or from a random allied item. Can execute remove up to, can remove exhaust. I don't know how to word this, but equal to the number of adjacent alchemical items. So basically, the idea that I'm thinking here is that's a modification of that suggestion, but it basically has charges, right? And the charges that it has is based on the number of adjacent alchemical. So if you've got 3 adjacent alchemical, it can remove exhaust up to 3 times. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Are you only planning Steam release? That is to be determined. You know, I'm sure Steam is the main focus, but if the game does well, I'm sure we'll think about adding it to other platforms as well. Really like your idea of having adjacent food items add to the feast. Yeah, I think that will work. In what context would you want to use a partial class? I saw that you used it with a feast item. Well, Godot, that's just how Godot C# works, because Godot has a bunch of source generators. So what a partial class basically says is that this is a fragment of the class, and you could think of it as like all getting added together in the final class at compile time, I think is how it works. So basically I could declare multiple public partial class feast across the code base, and that will functionally get merged into a single feast class in the compiled version. And the reason why that's useful is especially in the case of like source generators. So you may have a source generator that generates code for a particular class. That source generator will do public partial class, whatever, put its own code in there, and that remains as generated code, which doesn't appear in your normal class that you're writing yourself. But when it gets compiled, it gets all that generated code built into the class with it. This is actually a requirement of Godot. Actually, this actually isn't a requirement anymore. I could actually remove the partial. Oh, I should do that. Remove partial keyword from all item classes. So the reason partial is there because Godot requires that you use the partial keyword if you're extending a Godot object. Where did that go? And so this base card class used to extend ref counted, which requires that you use partial. and I just forgot to update this, so this is no longer needed. But typically when you're extending a Godot object, or not typically, always when you extend a Godot object, because Godot C# uses source generators quite heavily, you need to use the partial keyword. Could project 2 items on the edge of the board equal to the number of adjacent alchemical items immune to paralyze and remove exhaust. Yeah, that could work. Sticking with the food, what about a little tub of sugar that has ability reduce turn cooldown of adjacent items by X seconds? Yeah, sugar would be a good one. Small, simple, yeah. Short and sweet, yeah. Could be an alchemical tag item. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I will, like I said, I'll think on that more, what I want to do there. But I do have to get going here, so thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Let me open this in a different window. Alchemortis is available for wishlisting on Steam, so if you're interested, check it out. Gaze upon the really cool capsule art. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can create your own builds using alchemy, so if that sounds interesting to you, definitely check it out. Take a look at the Steam page, wishlist it. All the other ways you could support me are linked below as well, so I'd appreciate if you would check those out as well. And yeah, I hope you all have a good day. I will not be streaming tomorrow, but I will see you back here on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.